Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to yet another Two Talk with Your Dentist on thedentaire.com. I'm Dr. Rekha, and the Two Talk with Your Dentist is an initiative to increase oral and dental health awareness among people. Visit our website www.thedentaire.com to get more information about your oral and dental health. You can now subscribe for our free newsletters. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you get the latest updates that we post on our channel. You can follow us on other social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and on Telegram. And in conversation with me today, I have the lovely Geetha Ghaliyavar. To give you a brief introduction about Geetha, Geetha Ghaliyavar is a leading sports nutritionist with a PG diploma in the International Olympic Committee. She is a registered dietitian, a certified diabetes educator, and a university rank holder. A gold medalist, speaker, and columnist with over 17 years of experience, she mentors national and international and novice athletes by offering holistic sports nutrition coaching. Geetha, thank you so much for joining me today in this To Talk with Your Dentist conversation, and a warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Rika, and it's good to be back, and let's share some best practices again.
Yes, yes. I think we are again here in the second wave of the COVID, and these have been very testing times, I think, for everyone. And my heartfelt condolences to all those people and all the families who have lost their near dear ones to this pandemic. It is truly very difficult times and confusing times, I guess. So I think during these times, I think the emphasis is more on how well you can maintain your health. And I think as a part of health comes the diet, your immunity, and a lot of other factors that play a major role. And I think this has become quite obvious to every one of us. So I was just thinking if we can today have a small conversation or a discussion about good health or good diet practices that people can follow. Of course, this is not some kind of a preventive measure or some kind of a cure that we can say, but definitely, making some lifestyle changes, dietary changes, probably, would help a lot of us, in the long run. So, and I'm sure you have also been hearing to a lot of advices or, probably some of the myths also that have been circulating, okay, take this, you will probably overcome, probably do this, don't do this kind of a thing. So as a dietitian and a nutritionist, what do you have to say about the do's and don'ts people can do during these times?
Yes, I totally resonate what you said, and these have been very testing times, and I'm sure these challenging times will pray that we'll overcome these soon. But nonetheless, what best we can do right now is to ensure that you take care of your well-being, and there are several ways of doing this. There's so much confusing and contradictory information, and so much noise around practices. So it's overwhelming for even somebody who's been carrying along for almost over a year now. So to begin with, I think it's so important that you ensure that you are eating some sense of nutrition around your calorie intake. So overtly restricting your food just because you are thinking that I'm at home and I'm gaining weight. I think there have been some questions on this that should I be also reducing my food intake? Yeah, that's a good
Yes.
notion. With common sense, yes, you probably will need to slightly eat lesser than what you probably would eat based on your activity level. But overtly or chronic reduction of calorie intake itself can actually suppress your immunity. And also,
Yes.
just another word on immunity is we can only maintain our immune system in the optimal
Yes.
function when we are
Yes.
able to eat a balanced overall, kind of a sensible diet. There's
Yes.
no
Yes.
overeating at the same time. You cannot cut out food groups and
Yes.
also food items. So
Yes.
first and foremost, you have to ensure that under eating, yes, probably just based on your day. If you had a good exercise regime and you worked out, yes, go on and eat your usual meal. But in case you haven't been able to step out of home and you've not been active, yes, it makes sense to eat one katori rice or a couple of pulkas less, but not overtly overdoing it. So excessive fasting is advisable, and if you want to maintain a good immune response, chronic calorie restriction is not going to help you. Similarly, just People probably don't have access to food, are probably not, able to organize and plan their meals well. So you have to ensure that there is some protein in all your meals, because
Yes.
protein is not just for your overall well-being, but your muscle mass, your metabolism, and most importantly, right now with the pandemic, we want our antibodies to be there to be churning out your response to what
Yes.
is going on. So proteins are extremely important, and they have and when you eat adequate calories is when proteins are there to do this job. So, calories are important for your everyday existence, for your heart to beat, for your digestion to take place. So, but if you overtly reduce your calorie intake, then proteins obviously go into other functions. And that's not advisable at all.
Okay, so Geetha, what would you suggest people? That what are the key areas in terms of nutrition that they have to pay attention, especially during these pressing times?
Yes, I think it's as I already emphasized. Continue eating balanced meals, and balanced meal is understandable. I'm not talking of you got to eat your good fats. Fats will anyway go in. What's important is that you ensure that there is definitely an ample amount of fresh fruits and vegetables. I'm sure that everybody is reading in the media of somebody who's so paranoid would not even purchase fruits, vegetables, and would chronically ill after that. So use your caution, follow your food safety, measures. I know that with the pandemic, it's overwhelming. Wash your produce either in salt or allow it to stay for 1 or 2 days. If you're buying packets, then you don't have to touch them for 2 3 days to ensure that window period of over 3 days. So you could follow certain practices where you are able to cook the food to high temperature and then it's safe for consumption. So having said that, you have to look at whatever is available. If you don't have the option to go out and purchase mangoes, or if you're not able to order it, even as simple as eating a bunch of coriander leaves to, one or two green chilies will also give you your vitamin C. So your antioxidants are all available in the fruits and vegetable foods mostly, unless and until it's polyphenols like your catechin or epicalactocatechin gallate from your green tea, your theoflavin from your black tea, or for that matter even a piece of dark chocolate which gives you theobromine. So there are a lot of antioxidants which you could get from a bunch of a variety of your foods, but there is no substitute to fruits, vegetables. And now we also know that eating nitrate rich foods, your lettuce, your baby spinach, beetroot, rocket leaves, of course, nothing exotic, but you could just do with even our radish leaves, which typically was thrown.
Yes.
Just radish leaves itself can be used as a salad high in nitrate, and they increase your nitric oxide, or they are vasodilators. So they improve the oxygen carrying capacity. So ensure that you eat at least 1 or 2 seasonal fruits, and definitely 4 to 5 cups of vegetables whenever possible, because that's where you're getting your antioxidant and all your vitamin C that you are
Yes.
talking about, which is an antioxidant. Your vitamin A that comes from dark leafy vegetables, your yellow and orange colored fruits, vegetables. It doesn't have to be something as exotic as apples. Even eating a simple, pumpkin, which is orange in color, and that could be so economical and reasonable. Uh, Try and use whatever you can lay your hands on, but ensure that you eat healthy.
Yes, basically try to eat as much home cooked meals so that it is prepared under safe conditions. The vegetables are well cleaned, it's washed, and even the person who is preparing it, has maintained certain hygiene standards, and he's preparing it. So, having said this, Geetha, possibly, I mean, most of us have access to more fruits and vegetables. Even if you can't go out, probably online also is available now. But just in case there is for whatever reasons, people don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables, then how far is supplementation recommended, and what are
Yes,
the kind of supplements that you would recommend?
thank heavens for innovation that today we have a plethora of choice, and you could definitely augment or supplement, and that's why they call supplement in addition to. So when you do not have the access, then definitely go ahead. And supplementation is great whenever there is a lack of access or there is a deficiency. It's a great way to add these, additional nutritional or medicinal supplements, and that is extremely important to maintain your nutritional status.
So, is there some kind of supplementation, that is being kind of abused, or probably people are just overusing it, or just using it without a requirement,
Yes,
that you would.
even that's a very valid and a good question. And I think even prior to the pandemic, we knew that B complex and vitamin C were a waste of money. But however, so a lot of guys have been overdoing zinc. There's so much talk about vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc for maintaining or boosting immunity. So that's firstly a myth. And your genetic endowment, your nutritional status, especially if you're looking at micronutrient deficiency, you cannot overdo that just because I know that zinc lozenges or taking zinc or vitamin C can reduce the symptoms of a common cold, which is again caused by virus. But however, your immune response is complicated and it is governed by so many other parameters, not just your diet, but yes, overall your sense of lifestyle. Are you stressed constantly? Is your cortisol very high? Are you not sleeping adequate? Do you have no light exposure or daylight? Access? So it's complicated. But for example, vitamin C. It's a water soluble vitamin and it needs to be taken on a regular basis. You cannot say that I ate mango 2 days ago and I will not be. I mean, my vitamin is taken care. I've eaten fruits like once a week or twice a week. Water soluble vitamins cannot be stored in the body and they get washed out in urine. So, which means that if you want your antioxidant status to be very high, your activation or inflammation to be reduced, and you want your body in that capacity to be able to cope any inflammation, fight free radicals, fight a virus. You have to ensure that you are eating on a regular basis. So even overdoing vitamin C depends again on several parameters. Your health status itself. Are you under the weather? Do you not have access to fruits, vegetables? And then taking vitamin C makes sense. Also split the dose or spread it across, because sometimes overconsumption is not going to make any sense because it's just anyway going to get washed out. So you have to be, again, with zinc. Now, zinc itself is extremely important because it supports our immunity, again, reduces inflammation. But having said that, now zinc can be had from several, in fact, oysters, the mussels are the richest source of zinc. But however, with the pandemic, I cannot say, and also affordability. Not everybody probably can reach out to expensive food items. So it makes sense then you are eating, as simple as your nuts. For that matter, I recently shared that you can even eat a handful of watermelon seeds or pumpkin seeds and even sunflower seeds, which are so reasonable. And pumpkin seeds are the richest source of zinc. So there are food items you could stack, and they're so easy. Every time you have a craving to snack, you could just eat a handful of nuts or seeds, and you are ensuring you are getting your daily dose of zinc. But overdoing that, is that advisable? It again depends on, are you succumbing to an infection? The symptoms are reducing. Just because you take zinc or vitamin C, you will not be able to avoid the virus. All that we want to do is keep home, stay safe, maintain distance of over 2 meters, wash your hands, wash your food, ensure that you are taking all your precautions. That's what is needed. Overdoing zinc is not safe. It has a nutrient interaction. It can reduce iron and copper absorption, and iron is also needed. Iron helps in conversion of your red blood cells, and copper itself is needed again for your RBC synthesis and so many other important functions. So there's always a nutrient interaction. So zinc supplementation can help for those who are deficient. Say you are overdoing excessive alcohol, which is not advisable anyway. So are you vegetarian? Are you vegan? Is your fiber intake so high that it is reducing the absorption of zinc? Are you a very elderly person where there is poor absorption? Are you suffering from any gastrointestinal tract, issues or health problem? So when there's a deficiency, we know that nutritional supplementation adds value. But just for a healthy person to overdo it is not advisable. And periodically, what we say, periodized approach, where you feel that you're slightly under the weather, and you can just, do supplementation for just a few days. It could be, say, twice a week or once a week, or you are traveling, you want to take care. Then it makes sense to take a broad spectrum multi-mineral, multivitamin, or even a zinc supplementation.
Yes, yes. I think that was a very useful bit of information, Geetha. I think considering, if people are thinking, how or what they should do, and probably some do's and probably some don'ts, some kind of foods that you can also avoid, which can kind of interfere with your normal system functionings. Probably, too much of canned food, or too much food that has too many preservatives in it, and too much sugary foods. Yeah.
Yes. So now, having said that, you could definitely look at your fruit vegetable intake, nuts and seeds. Definitely, even your selenium, from your Brazil nut to cashew nut to all these seeds offer you selenium, and selenium works synergistically with your vitamin E itself. Now, almonds are the richest source of vitamin E. So we talked of all these ACE vitamins, which are powerful antioxidants, and they can reduce the inflammation. Now, that's a very good question of what you shouldn't do, and I'm sure many of the community is, probably sometimes inadvertently practicing this, because there's boredom eating, they're staying at
Yes.
home, they do not access, or they are
Yes.
sometimes overwhelmed with so much
Yes.
that's going on, and they cannot plan or are lazy. There is a mental fatigue right now. So a few don'ts would be simple things as restrict the amount of food you can eat from a packet. I think that goes without saying, and you don't need a dietitian to tell you that. I'm sure our audience also knows that. So
Yes.
restrict anything that's very highly sugary. I'm not saying do
Yes.
not eat. Please do eat. Everybody ought to sometimes, just have a variety
Yes.
and
Yes.
enjoy the small pleasures of life without guilt. But excessively overdoing sugar. Now, sugar reduces your immunity. Now, sugar can reduce the absorption of vitamin C and vitamin D. And vitamin D right now is so important that we
Yes.
know by research, because we've also done a very, very lovely
Thoughtfully.
conversation on vitamin D. And I urge the viewers to definitely visit that video and to understand how vitamin D can impact your immunity. So vitamin D has a very important role in immune modulation and your function. And definitely we know now with the pandemic, those who have succumbed to the coronavirus have had better outcome when they've had optimal levels of vitamin D. So minimum, I wouldn't say large mega doses of vitamin D if you do not have access to do your blood test right now, and that will not be advisable too. Please stay home and stay safe. But when there is no access to a blood parameter or a diagnostic blood test,
Yes.
it's then possible to just add a very minuscule or a small amount of a daily dose that can kind of just kind of help you, because sometimes even vitamin D in overdoing or mega doses gets stored in the liver, and that may not be advisable. So sugary foods can reduce vitamin C,
Yes.
vitamin D, also lead to excretion of some important minerals, and that can be iron, calcium, magnesium. Now with the pandemic, we want foods that are rich in tryptophan, like your oats, your bananas, and anything unprocessed, curd, definitely high quality protein foods from your eggs. Now, tryptophan is converting to a neurotransmitter called serotonin,
Etc.
and these are foods that help you to relax, and it's very
Yes.
important. So look at these foods instead of high amount of sugar, which can lower your magnesium. Now, higher amount of excretion of iron, calcium, magnesium, and now magnesium is a muscle relaxant, and it's involved in so many important enzymes, or as a cofactor in so many enzymatic activity. You definitely want to look at certain foods. Again, magnesium, God's grace, it's so reasonable, so easily available. Eat a serving of dark green leafy vegetables, and it's a part of chlorophyll. So again, very just a handful of your seeds, nuts, so almonds. So you can soak them, remove the skin, so you get rid of tannins. So these are foods you want to look at. So sugar, definitely restrict. highly processed foods and packaged foods, which I've already mentioned. Because what happens when you are eating highly processed foods, which is deep fried, be it your samosa or your chips, or even baked goods like your cakes and cookies, or anything that is subjected to very high
Temperatures.
man-made fats called the trans fat,
Trans fats.
and the food label that reads it is trans fats free, unfortunately has a small amount of trans fats in it as per the guidelines for the food labeling. So unfortunately, a common man succumbs to this and thinks that it's a healthy option. The butter cookies will have butter, but it's zero trans fats free. It beats the logic. So restrict these amounts, and the best advice here is try not to buy them at all. Or if you purchase them, buy in smaller portions, or keep it somewhere very far away where it's not at your eyesight, where you're not,
Yes.
working at your desk at the back like me. Don't leave it on your desk or your dining table where you kind of see it and you're
Urge.
reminded of it. Yes, and your urge to, you have an urge to eat it. So either you buy smaller portions, or just, restrict yourself in the weekends, or sometimes if you're watching a movie or for any occasion. So that's what I would say, because these are pro-inflammatory. They lead to higher amount of inflammation, and then this boosting immunity itself is a farce or a myth. You cannot boost immunity. It's innate and again acquired. What you're born with. Now your genetic endowment is unfortunately very complicated. I'm not
Yes.
even going to dive into it. So also acquired immunity is what's happening now. Either you are
Yes.
exposed to the virus directly and your body responds to it. There is going to be inflammation, and it's a good thing. The body is going to have higher fever, that is higher body temperature, or a response to the virus. The antibodies fight it, and your body becomes slightly uncomfortable place to live in. So the virus can, in the possibility that it can die.
Yes.
Now, somebody who's exposed to the virus may just be a carrier. You will not even know. Somebody who's
Yes.
poorer immunity will
Yes.
succumb to it. So it's
Yes.
complicated. And so another way of getting the acquired immunity is by taking the vaccination. So
Vaccinations.
please, everybody must take the vaccination. Do register, and we don't know, it's uncharted waters. We don't know what
Yes.
lies ahead of us, but you need to vaccinate. But the health status can be improved. Your immunity can be
Yes.
strengthened when you avoid these foods like
Foods.
sugary food, highly deep fried, highly processed foods, which further add to the inflammation.
Yes. Yes, yes. I think Geetha, that was a very informative talk or conversation that we had, and I really hope all our patients and all the people who have access to this video get to take something. But I'm sure since I leave your contact details in the description box below, if somebody would like to reach out to you and learn more, they can always get in touch with you. But thank you so much for joining me today in today's conversation.
Thank you, Rekha. And of course, not to leave out the importance of a good routine and sleep, because if
Yes,
you are not sleeping enough, your
enough.
body's cortisol is going to be increasing, and you are going to be suppressing your immunity. So also moderate exercise. Like as we always mention in our athletes, the biggest challenge with their overall well-being and a good balanced intake of antioxidant,
Yes,
and meals rich in your turmeric, to how you can improve the curcumin, because there's only 3 to 5% curcumin in turmeric, and so little. And like I think 2000 mg turmeric, that's less than half teaspoon, gives you barely very very little. I think it's about,
yes,
I have not got the math right, 50 or 100 mg curcumin, which is very very little. So you obviously want to use some pepper, also use some oil where the curcumin absorption occurs better. There are lots of emphasis on your use of ginger and so many herbs that can kind of keep you in your healthy
healthy.
so definitely sleep. So we cannot oversee that. So I know that people have been homebound, not sleeping enough, or they don't have a routine because they don't have to get to the office on
Yes,
time. So there is obviously kind of very staggering cascading effect of late nights.
yes,
So moderate exercise, because when athletes overdo training, our biggest challenge is upper respiratory tract infection, and also just moderate exercise, and practice your breathing techniques, or your
yes,
breathing your exercises or pranayam, very important for you. health. So definitely vitamin E is one of the best ways of introducing your antioxidant property again, which can boost your lung health. Similarly, probiotics, your simple
Yes.
things like so important. It's been humid, it's been raining, and the peak of summer. So hydration, sometimes you just forget to
Yes.
drink. So, have your buttermilk and ensure that, you're hydrating. It is a
Hydrating.
good way to also consume your good bacteria, because we know that if you're constantly stressed,
Yes.
under the weather, overwhelmed, that's not a good thing, and worrying is not going to help. So, definitely consume your probiotics. It could be simple overnight fermented rice, and also your high fiber intake, fruit, vegetables, whole grains. Whole grains also give you vitamin E. So your probiotics itself can, ensure that your respiratory health is maintained. And this is
Yes.
not going to change overnight. I'd like to clarify that. You cannot say that, I took buttermilk today, so my my immunity status is just totally beefed up. So
Yes.
these micronutrients,
It's like an
yes,
everyday practice, that you have to cultivate over a period of time, and let that get into your system so that your body, builds it slowly. But then, of
totally.
course, hmm,
So it's very important that you, take baby steps, but ensure there's consistency. Keep at it. Follow this for a few weeks and months to see the outcome. Eventually, nothing changes overnight. So
yes,
try and make an effort. Take one day at a time, and cannot overrule the importance of simple, moderate exercise. Your yoga, meditation, pranayama. Keep active. Even if you're working from home, and daylight exposure.
yes,
Most important.
yes,
With pollution reducing, probably you'll absorb more vitamin D. Midday sun
yes,
around 10 a.m. is very important. So, not only just that, we've also talked about the early morning sun exposure for the circadian
yes,
rhythm, how it improves your
yes,
serotonin, which can improve you, for you to sleep better. It can help you sleep better. So not only that, but just your brain chemicals, the way we react, and it's so important that you are getting some amount of daylight, into your eyes, so that there are these good chemicals released in your brain and give you a sense of well-being.
yes, yes. I think that was very useful, Geeta. Thank you so much for joining me today in today's conversation, and I hope I can get you back, to do some more talks on important topics related to diet, nutrition, and health.
Totally, Rekha. It's a pleasure, and wishing everybody, safety. And yes, that's all we can wish for now.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you,
Take
thank
care,
you.
everybody.
Yeah, yeah,
See you later.
yeah. Bye. So, viewers, that was a sports nutritionist Geetha Ghaliyavar, who did talk to us about some of the do's and don'ts that you can do related to your diet, especially during these times. If you have any doubts or queries, please don't hesitate to write to us, and we'll get back to you on that. And if you'd like to contact Geetha, her contact details are given in the description box below. And to know more about your oral and dental health, do visit our website www.thedentaire.com. You can now subscribe for our free newsletters, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the latest updates about your oral and dental health. So until next time that I come back with another speaker who will share their knowledge and expertise about your health, keep smiling, stay safe, and be happy. Thank you so much.